Well, hey, good morning. If you're watching this on Sunday morning, that means that tomorrow on Monday is going to be Martin Luther King Day. This is more than just another day off school or an extended weekend holiday or something. This is a day that years ago was set aside as a day to celebrate probably one of the greatest Americans who has ever lived. I've even heard Christian historians debate about whether or not maybe he was one of the greatest American Christians to have ever lived. Some of us don't know that when Martin Luther King Jr. was called and asked to lead the civil rights movement in the 1950s and 1960s, he was actually a pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church in Georgia. And it was out of kind of that conviction as a follower of Jesus that he said, yes, I'll do it, because he was just kind of felt compelled to do that. Now, today, I want to have a special treat for you. Given all the things that are happening in our country right now, with the political unrest and just, you watch the news and it's hard to turn, and sometimes as someone who is trying to look at this through Christian eyes, I found myself going to different people in history and I'm like, how did they look at the world around them? How did they process hard things that were happening? And of course, my mind went to Dr. King and some of the things that I had read from him over the years. So the special treat I have for you this morning is taking a pause from our series on kind of getting back into the scriptures, and we're going to jump into that next week and refocus our mind towards that. But it's to hit the pause button on that and to listen to an entire sermon from Dr. King. It's about 20-25 minutes long, but I'm guessing that you've probably read quotes from him in the past, but have you ever listened to an entire speech, or in this case, an entire sermon? What I have for you here is just a recording of kind of a Sunday morning at Ebenezer Baptist, and Pastor King is getting up to speak to his congregation about Daniel chapter 3. And he entitled his sermons, But If. And it's kind of, he's directing people to kind of have a faith in God that is strong with kind of no buts. It's something that you will notice is that I'm giving you a couple clues here, so as you listen to it, you'll be able to listen to it better. One of the he talks about is, am I going to have a faith that is an if faith? That God, I will have faith in you if you let me avoid pain. God, I will have faith in you if you give me happiness. Or are we going to have a faith to say, God, I will have faith in you even though I have pain, even though life will be hard. Now, this is something that he preached, not just from like kind of just reading it from a story. This is something that Dr. King experienced, having threats to his life, to his family, to those he loved. This is something he lived day in and day out. We may think that like, when he passed away, he must have been we have a really popular guy. I mean, we have a day to him now. Actually, when he passed away, there's stories of white folks, white Christians in particular even, celebrating the fact that he was assassinated. He didn't die of natural causes. He died as a man that other people thought should die, who should be killed. It's not something to celebrate, obviously, but it is something to remember that this is someone who kind of laid it on the line. So this morning, I want to have you listen to just a pastor kind of speak his heart about why he's chosen to do this and trying to inspire his congregation to kind of make the same decisions that he has made. And my suggestions for you as you listen to this, first of all, is you'll be listening. Like I said, this is just an average Sunday morning, so no one was standing there with television cameras videotaping this. Someone happened to record a sermon that he was giving. And so then now someone has gone back on YouTube and put some awesome pictures in there. So my suggestion for you is to listen well. Don't get caught. The pictures that they have in there are they're awesome pictures, they're very inspiring. But don't get caught just looking at the pictures. Continue to listen to the words that he preaches. The other suggestion I have is to maybe get a journal or a piece of paper and something to write with and write down some of the things he says, because he's going to say some pretty profound stuff. A couple of the quotes that I just even sketched down was, he said, you must do right because it is right to do right. Or he said, if a man has not discovered something that he will die for, he isn't fit to live. It left me wondering, like, what have I found? Am I willing to die for? Am I willing to make decisions because it is simply the right thing to do? Maybe today, after you sit down to have lunch together, you just say, let's talk about this sermon. What are the quotes you have? What are the questions you have? What are the ways that you want to apply it to your life? Last thing I want to say is he is a master communicator. And it's easy to just be entertained by his delivery and the things he says and be kind of swept away in that. But remember, first and most right here, he is speaking as a pastor to his church. He is trying to help people to understand how God is at work in their lives. So listen to it with that in mind, is listening to someone who is trying to open the scriptures to you. So soften your heart and receive what God would have for you this morning.